Hi, my name's Charlotte. Welcome back to my channel. It has been a hot moment since you have seen my face. It's probably been about a year, maybe a little longer than that. And I guess the reason for that being is because I've been so burnt out. So I figured that coming back, my first proper upload really ought to be talking about things like burnout. This video is unscripted. This is literally just gonna be me talking shit at my camera for a bit. By the way, it's a new camera. It's very nice. I'm very, very happy with how it looks. I'm really looking forward to editing this later and playing around with some footage. I didn't realise that burnout was something that I struggled with. I didn't realise it was even a thing. It's only a word that I've been particularly familiar with in the last, I want to say 5 years. And the first time I heard about it was after the therapist that I was seeing basically turned around and like told me that she thought I had Asperger's. I know it's not Asperger's, it's ASD, but that was the vocabulary that she used at the time. Obviously, doing my own research, I read about autistic burnout and was like, oh my god, that's me. It kind of explained a lot. Finally, I had a word or like an understanding of why I'd been feeling the way that I had been, where I would go through periods of my life where I wasn't able to hold down a job for much longer than a year because I would get to the point where my mental health would absolutely plummet and I just wouldn't be able to get out of bed anymore. And with that, I think for me came depression. I think the depression that I often experience comes as a result of burnout. Maybe that's not the case, but that's how it kind of makes sense for me, because I'll get to the point where I'm really tired, I'm really low energy, and I'm wanting to do stuff and I'm wanting to interact with people because I am a sociable person. I'm an introvert in that I definitely need time by myself to recharge and I value having time by myself. That's something that I didn't know either. Yeah, I was just really tired all of the time. I would end up really emotional. I would be crying all of the time. And it wasn't just overtiredness. Like, I felt like a husk of a human being. And if you've ever felt like that, it's a friggin' horrible way to feel, because you know, it's not like you don't want to do the stuff. There is stuff that you want to do, but there's just nothing, there's no drive, there's no motivation to get up and do it. There is no energy. You're empty. And when I had been in these periods of burnout and my mental health was struggling, it meant that it affected my work. And I had largely just put it down to being depressed because that was what my doctor had told me. Now that I had a better understanding of autistic burnout and why I was experiencing autistic burnout, that was a game changer for me. It was actually quite incredible because as soon as I started like reading through burnout references, particularly autistic burnout like resources, I was like, oh my god, this is how I've been feeling for like most of my adult life, and it's not my fault. It's not because I'm useless at being a human being. It's because the way that I process the world around me is different to most people. Reading those resources, finding out a little bit more about it, and like beginning to understand the way that my brain works at the big age of 27, I was just like, on one hand, I was really happy. I was absolutely like over the moon with the fact that now I've got like a name for this, and from like this point onwards I'm going to be able to go forward and make these changes and make these accommodations for myself. But I had wasted so much of my life and my potential and my mental health telling myself that I wasn't good enough because I wasn't able to function like a regular person. I'm using like air quotes, regular person, a neurotypical person. So from that point, I have experienced periods of burnout. It's not an easy thing to sort of get your head around, really. It definitely took me a lot of practice to start noticing when I'm starting to burn out. I definitely get a bit more irritable. I lose interest in doing the things that I want to do. I wake up with no energy. And even now, I'm still learning how to deal with that. It's something that I have been dealing with recently, and once again my mental health as a result has not been particularly great. However, I've learned to pick up on my warning signs a little bit earlier, and I'm better at articulating my mental health and how I'm feeling. Sometimes I get a bit overwhelmed when I'm put on the spot and I'm asked questions about my mental health, because especially if I've gone in on a day where I'm actually feeling all right, it can be quite difficult for me to be like, well, I don't feel like how I did before, so I don't know how I feel when I'm like at my worst, because I'm not experiencing it right now. Something that I found really useful is making a list of things that I need to cover, and that probably sounds like the most obvious thing in the world, but unless I'm writing it down when I'm in the throes of it, I'll forget. So if I go to the doctors and I'm like in a better mood, maybe because I had a day off the day before or I got a particularly good night's sleep, I'll go in and I'll be like, actually I don't think it's that bad, and I'll downplay it, and that's really not helpful when you're trying to reach out and get help. So what I've started doing when I know that I've got a doctor's appointment and it's about my mental health, I will make a note of everything that I need to say, how I feel when I'm at my worst, or like when I'm experiencing it, I will make a note of it in this little document that I've got. So yeah, like I said, I have had a burnout period recently. I've been very fortunate in that around that sort of time, I have had annual leave booked. So I'm like in the middle of my annual leave. I've got like 3 more days to enjoy. In that time, I have fully recovered, recuperated. I feel like I'm a human being again. And not just a human being, a functioning human being. I have like organized my finances. I have been going out and seeing my friends. I've been keeping on top of my house. I saw my mum, she came to visit. And I don't feel absolutely exhausted, which is great. But the thing that I have taken away from this in the lead up to it is I need to make sure that I take my annual leave more regularly, because the way that my annual leave has fallen has meant that I've got annual leave at the moment, I've got annual leave at the end of September and I've got annual leave at the end of October, which is great because it means I'm only working, 3 weeks out of the month for the next couple of months. What it has not been so good for is the fact that I had gone so long without any breaks. And obviously I get days off, but when you're trying to stay on top of everything else, like the household stuff, like I live alone, so I have an entire house to manage by myself. That was my decision because I know that I am not going to be able to live with people unless it's like a future partner or something like that. And even then I'm very particular about how I need to live, but that's a bridge that I will cross if and when it comes to it. I live by myself, so I have a household to manage. I choose to have pets because they are great for my mental health. Again, that's a decision that I chose to have when I moved in here, and when I adopted all of them, I have a lot of responsibility at home. I manage all of the finances, I do all of the cleaning, and I also want to have a social life and see my friends as well. And I want to do my hobbies. I have more hobbies than you could shake a stick at, I swear. I want to talk about that as well. I'm going to put a pin in that and I'm going to come back to it. I definitely need to, next year, when I'm booking my annual leave, make sure that I'm spreading it out across the year more evenly, so I don't get to the point where I'm spending a large portion of my shift crying under the stairs because I feel so down and depressed and overwhelmed and just not functioning at all. I've been aware of this for like the last 5 years, but I'm still learning tips and tricks to do that. Do you know what I mean? Some of the things that I've found really useful for managing burnout and reducing the impact of like life leading up to that. And this is not sponsored at all, I recently bought a pair of Loop earplugs to wear when I'm at work. And oh my god, they have changed my life. I didn't think that I got overstimulated with noise particularly. I can tolerate quite a lot when it comes to noise. But notice that's the word that I use, tolerate. I'm not okay with it because it really does burn me out. If I've been in an environment where it has been very loud or there have been lots of sounds that are layered that I can't deal with, I really struggle. I also really struggle in my working environment. It gets very loud, it's customer facing, I have to use my brain sometimes. So in terms of like concentration, I was really struggling and getting distracted and making silly little mistakes and stuff like that. Since I've had my Loops, I can concentrate, I feel present, I'm in the room, I don't hear my boss walking around clicking his pen. And if you're somebody that is watching this from work, you will know who I'm talking about. And you know what? After I come home from a 10-hour shift, having worn my loops. I don't feel anywhere near as exhausted as I did, and it just goes to show that, okay, I might not be having a meltdown because I'm overstimulated by sound, but I come home and I just want to sit in a dark room with all of the lights off, like block out all other sensory things. Whereas I've noticed since I've been using the loops, that's not been so much of a problem for me. They've been fantastic as well for like social events too, so like going out for coffee, walking into the city with my mum the other day. Normally if I go anywhere I'm wearing headphones, but obviously when you're walking around with somebody, you don't want to sit with your headphones on. You want to have a conversation as you're walking, but the rest of the world can be quite noisy, so I just popped those in and it was great. It was fine. I went to a gig the other night. I went to see Snail Mail play with my friend Sophie, and oh my god, to come out of a gig and not have ringing ears, fantastic. They've just been so useful for so many different things. The ones that I use are the experience ones, and I would say if you, even if you think that your sensory issues are mild, I would still highly recommend getting a pair of like these sort of earplugs. I personally use loops. Like I say, this isn't sponsored at all. They're just a product that I've used and I would recommend. I really like them and I'm really happy with them. I wanted to talk about burnout from hobbies as well. So in addition to my therapist being like, hey bestie, I think you've got autism, I'm also on the NHS waiting list for an ADHD assessment. All of the doctors that I have spoken to have been like, yeah, sounds like ADHD. I'm just waiting for the official assessment now. Hopefully that will be coming soon because I've been on the waiting list for nearly 3 years now. Oh, I think that's the Amazon parcel. I had a case for my new iPad. How weird that it came like this. Like it's not even in a little envelope, which I mean is fine. Can finally protect her. I wonder if that's going to be, I think that might even be thin enough to go on my, ooh. I love that I was talking about ADHD and then the postman comes and I'm immediately distracted by my new a new thing for my new little toy, and it's got a little holder for the fucking pencil in there as well. I'm going to be right back. Oh, do you know what? I think I've ordered the wrong one. Shit. Why am I like this? We know why I'm like this, it's because of ADHD. Oh, piss. I should have known. I swear this said it was for the new one. Oh no, what an absolute ding dong. Oh my god, I hope I've not got it stuck in there. And it's probably for the best that I didn't put stickers on it just yet, because I was 100% gonna do that. I've got another Amazon return to do, it seems. Anyway, where were we? ADHD, baby. As I mentioned earlier, have a lot of hobbies, and that's usually a really fun, really nice thing. What it does mean is when I'm really into something, I'm really into something. In that I will lose chunks of my day because I'm so hyper focused on crocheting, drawing, doing plant care, researching animals, playing Sims, editing videos. The list goes on. It can be exhausting, and sometimes I get to the point where I spend so much time fixated on something that I'm really enjoying doing, I end up burning myself out. And that's something that I really just, like, it blows my mind. Like, it's something, I can't enjoy things like a normal person. My auntie said this to me the other day. She was like, you're either at like 100 or 0 when it comes to liking stuff. You either don't give a shit or you're living and breathing it. And she's right. And it's really difficult being exhausted by the things that you enjoy, because I will spend so much money on things that I'm enjoying in the moment and then I'll put them down and then I feel guilty for like months on end when I haven't indulged in that particular hobby. And when I'm burnt out, like I haven't got something I can do as like a fun activity to like help me feel good. Do you know what I mean? Because I've like burnt out all of my energy on the thing that I was enjoying. I don't know whether that makes any sense. Other things that I've had to get better at to avoid burnout has been learning to say no. I'm a people pleaser, a chronic people pleaser. I hate letting people down. If I say that I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do something. However, more recently, I have gotten so much better at saying, I don't have the energy for that. I am not in a position where I'm able to give myself fully, and I want to be able to enjoy myself when I'm hanging out with you. It's also been a case of like learning to prioritize like who I want to spend my time with as well. I feel like that sounds kind of mean, but I mean, I see my work friends really regularly at work, and if I'm gonna have to make a choice between seeing one of my friends that I don't see so regularly and somebody that I see every day, I will prioritize the friend that I don't see that often, because I don't want to burn myself out, because then I'm not going to be able to see anyone. I've got nobody to spend my time with. Well, it's not that I don't have anyone to spend my time with. I'm not here to enjoy spending time with the people that I want to. Something that I have been trying to do recently, and I'm still in the very, very early stages, and I have a video that I'm planning on working on sort of to show you how I'm planning on doing this, is I'm trying to get my shit together. I'm trying to get myself into a routine that works for me, that doesn't burn me out. You know what I did one time? I tried to organise myself so much that being so organised burnt me out. Do you know how stupid that makes me feel? That like in trying to manage my mental health and make myself be a more functioning person, I ended up burning myself out doing that. How nuts is that? This is what I mean when I say like I'm an all or nothing person. I can't just do a little bit, I have to go ham on whatever it is that I'm doing, and I'm trying to get better at that. Like literally, I had habit trackers, I was giving myself performance reviews, and because there were so many things that I was monitoring and so many things that I was like recording and taking note of, I just burnt out and then stopped doing it entirely. And then my life fell apart. I'm gonna be showing you in an upcoming video how I'm trying to get my shit together, how I'm trying to do it like a chill person, like a fun, chill guy. I'm like the chillest, highly strung person ever. It's so stupid. My personality is like, yeah, it's fine, everything's cool, like don't worry about it, it's so chill. And then inside of myself, I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to explode if I don't have full control over the situation. It's so stupid. Like, I don't understand how those two parts of me exist in the same body. It's bizarre. If you're interested in seeing on how I'm trying to figure out how to be a functioning human being, you might want to check out those videos. But yeah, I think this is probably gonna be the end of this video now. I would be really interested to hear your experiences with burnout. You know, it's something that you've experienced. If you have any like hints and tips for other people that I've not like mentioned in here, it would be great if you could share those down below. But yeah, thank you for watching. I will see you in my next video. I promise it won't be as long as my last one. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if that is what you're into, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.